Hi everyone, thank you for joining the class. So I originally wanted to upload my video on Monday morning, but some issue happened, so I uploaded my video right now. So this is a 14th week, and probably this will be the last video as a lab section. And as I emailed you, I will set up a one-time kinds of the Zoom meeting with each of you, like 15 minutes, what we did before. So we want to check how you improve and if you have any concerns or if you want to make up a little bit more, then I might want to kind of chat with each of you to help you out. So the last video is, again, thank you for submitting your kinds of InDesign and PowerPoint slides. And I hope you learned enough kinds of skills. And when I saw your kinds of work, pretty much your work is really updated. So, and I'm currently reviewing your work right now. And then I probably upload my grading for homework 3 early next week. So what you have to do is take a look at the video that was created by Jingxi, my colleague, and again, second video. So still compared to my work, there will be a little bit work that you have to do. So, but that is also very beneficial for your learning course for this digital communication. And I might wanna show a little bit as an outcome for the second assignment of the Revit. If you can see, whenever you wanted to show all the 3D view, I also took a video whole that Jingxi created. But what I want to suggest is that you don't necessarily to create all the material and all the curve and all the benches or street furniture things over the site. I want you to make a one of the house, and then you can make a little bit about the curve areas and car, and those are still the material that you can just utilize as a 3D. Then you might want to show a little bit detail, not these kinds of the intersection view. You could just show a corner side with your updated kinds of the 3D. So I don't want you to develop much of this style. Just you can make a little bit and then show that angle. So that would be allowed. That's what I wanted to explain right before you take a video, because when you take a video, you might be overwhelmed a little bit. So don't worry. Again, you could do certain part, not whole. Then you might want to show that angle as much as you can. So if you have any questions, please let me know so I can also help you out. So then have a good Thanksgiving holidays, and I will email you next week, and then we might wanna make a kinds of the office hour or Zoom meeting section, each of you. Thank you.
Hey everyone, so this is a second tutorial about Revit, and it's also about assignment 2. And assignment 2 is about block scale urban modeling. And our focus is still the urban form, not detailed buildings. But before we dive in, I will spend about maybe 10 minutes showing you how to make a simple building in Revit. Because you may be given different floor plans in your real urban planning project. So by knowing how to create a quick, like a single house building, can help you to make your model more realistic. Okay, so let's start it. First, you'll still go to New, Models, and make sure you're choosing Impro Model Discipline. Just click OK. Okay, so once you get there, you will import a sketch and your sample building. And I will provide you guys that sketch. You can use the same one, or if you want, you can even go online and find a building footprint you like. And either one floor, one story, or two stories, both fine. Okay. Before that, because we want to build building this time, so there's another layer is kind of important before we import our sketch. So first, go to Elevations, and you can go to Ease. Okay. And you can see right now we have two levels. This is the default settings from Revit, which means you have the level 1, which most of the time means the ground floor. Okay, this is 0 foot 0 inch, and level 2 is 12 feet. So kind of the same height for one-story building. So that can be your ceiling, the top level of your building. Okay, since we're gonna create a two-story single-family house, so I'm gonna just create a new one. There is one way you can do is you can just go click the level 2 line. Okay, and you just copy and paste, and just randomly select a point above the level 2, and let's name it to level 3, and we can set the number to 12, the same height. Okay, so then that will be our roof level of the two stories single family house. And the reason we have to set up all those levels first before we start to create the wall, the floors, the roof, the building, because those levels will be like the base grades for our building. So once we start to create the wall, we need to set up the what's bottom, the start level, and the top level. And if you have like multiple stories, or you cannot remember the specific numbers of your bottom or top level height, you can just set up them as a level 3 or level 1. Okay, so you don't have to go remember the numbers all the time. It's super great. So next thing is we're gonna go back to our floor plans, and right now we have L1, L2, which means in the L1 you can see the first floor site plan, building plan, and in level 2 you can see the second story. Okay, and since we are doing the two stories single family house, so there is another view I want to create is level 3, which is L3. And since this is a two-story single family house, so in fact the third floor is the roof floor. So on that level, we will not have floor indeed. In fact, we're gonna have the roof and that level. So we can also rename it as a roof level. Okay. And click yes, and then let's go back to our one, which is our level 1. And let's go into the import image and go to our sketch plan and just open it, and can just randomly put in the center of the space. Okay, and the first thing we need to do is we need to scale this sketch to the right scale. Right now we know this distance is 25 feet. This image is a little bit fuzzy, but I will show you. So right now this lens here is 25 feet. And let's use the measure tool to measure what it is right now in our model. So it's 32, almost 33 feet. So it's too large. We need to bring it down a little bit. So let's go to our calculator and use 25 by 33. And so the scale factor we're going to use is 0.75. So you're going to click this sketch, and let's go use scale command, and we're going to use numerical way to scale down, and the scale factor will be 0.75. And you're going to randomly click one of the planes on the sketch, and it will shrink down this whole sketch automatically. And let's use the measure tool to measure again to see right now if that's the right scale. So it's almost 25 feet. Since we are not the architect, we don't have to be very accurate. So this level is already fine. And when you are trace this sketch, you can just make sure your number is the right number, so you don't have to make the sketch in the perfect scale. This one is enough to start. Okay, so the next thing we're going to start to do is we're going to start to create the floor for the first floor footprint. And I'm going to go to floor, from underneath the architecture tab, and we're going to go to floor, and we're going to use line. So we're going to start to trace the first floor. Make sure you're doing those vertical or perpendicular. Okay, and after you finish this whole shape, just click OK, and you can see after that we're going to start to create a wall exterior wall. Okay, so you're going to go to architecture wall and so you're going to use the pickup lines, so you don't have to trace all those lines again because we already created a floor, and you can use the outline of the floor to create a wall. But another thing, before you click those lines, let's make sure you set this line as exterior finished surface of the wall, because the floor's out edge should be aligned with the exterior surface of the wall. Okay, so you're gonna type tab on your keyboard when you move your mouse to choose one line of your floor. Make sure you type tab, and then it can help you to select the whole outline, and you can just click, and then you get this wall quickly. Okay, and the next thing is we're gonna go add those windows and doors. So you just click window, and you can also choose a different type of window here on the tab underneath. Okay, so I will just put them just like what we show in sketch. If it's too wide, I can change to narrow, the narrow window. Okay, and you can always go back to your 3D view to double check if your model is right. Okay, so right now you can see we have those windows on the wall outside, and if you also type tab on the keyboard, you can select the whole wall, and you can see the top constraint right now is unconnected, so it seems a little bit high. So let's change to 2, and then change to the right height of the wall. Okay, let's back to our one. Still need to trace the inside wall. So let's go to the architectural wall again, and we can select interior wall and start to trace. And if you think right now it's also a bit hard for you to see that, you can also try to change the transparency to make you easier to look. Okay, and after that, let's also put the door. Let's change to a small door. Okay, and now we can see the door here or inside. And right now, since you already finished all the content for the first floor, if you're a single family house, just a one floor, one story single family house, you can just create a roof now. For example, you can just go to roof. Okay, since we created 3 levels, so Revit will ask you, do you want to move this roof to the level 2? You just click yes. And we're gonna use pick up light again because we're gonna use the outline of the wall. And you can set offset 1 feet. Okay, and if you want just a flat roof, you just gotta unselect this define slope and click tab to select the whole wall. And once you click OK, you get a flat roof. Okay, so since today we're gonna create the 2 stories single family house, so I will just quickly to go back to the last step, and let's jump to the level 2, and we're gonna start to create the second floor. So if your second floors are totally the same with the first floor, so what you can do is you can just go back to your review and select the whole model, and you just copy and back to your L2 and paste to align to current view. Okay, and then you're gonna have the 2 floors totally same, and then you can start to create a roof. But if you are doing the second layout for your second floor, let me just quickly to go back to the last step. You can just start to create the floor and the wall. But first, let's copy the first floor's the floor to the second floor. So still go to tab to help you locate to the floor surface. Okay, and you're gonna copy and let's back to your level 2 view. We're gonna apply and align to current view. Okay, so if we go back, you will see the floor here. Okay, and you may see some overlap with the existing walls underneath. So what you can do is you can just move your floor up a little bit. Let's just show 1 foot. Okay, and now the overlap is disappeared. Okay, and then let's go back to your level 2. So you can still see the lighter blue lines underneath of the first floor layout is because on the layout orientation right now we're choosing look down. So you can take that as a reference if you want, or you can just change to look up, and then the signs will disappear. Okay, and so for the second floor, I will still use the same way to insert the second floor layout. So I will quickly change the scale to the right scale. So right now I know this line is 11 feet, and let me see how large it is. So right now it's around 14 feet and 5 inches. So I will use calculator again. 11 by 3.5. So the factor is the same. So I will just click that, and I will use the same scale factor. I'll click 1 in the corner and reset the scale. And I'll just move around and also change the display option to show some transparency, and then I can see the sketch underneath. And I will try to align with the first floor. And I can copy one outside. I think it's not really clear. I just put outside as a reference. Okay, so it seems like the second floor have this outline and the exterior wall. Okay. And I will still use the same type of wall for the first floor's exterior wall, which is a generate 12-inch white wall. Okay, and I will use a pickup lines to pick up the existing first floor wall line, center lines. Okay, basically like if there is no existing line, you can just redraw one after trees. Okay. and I will use CR to connect corner to make it look like the outline. Like that. Okay, and after that, we will use the same way to trace the interior wall. And if you cannot remember what type of interior wall you use for the first wall, you can go to the first wall and just select the interior wall and type CS to create a similar type of wall. And then you go back to your level 2 and start to trace. So by that way, you can use the totally same material for your interior wall. Here, connect the two again, and then the same way to end the door and window. And I will skip that part for now because you already know how to do that. Let's go back to the 3D view to double check. Okay, so right now we have the 2 stories buildings, and the last step is to the roof. So let's go to our roof level. Okay, so in the roof level right now we can't see anything. Let's go to the view range, and let's see the level above. No, let's keep the straight level, and the bottom. Let's change to the level 2 so we can see something here. And apply. Okay, and then you can see your level 2 outline. And you can use this to create your roof. So you can type roof, and you can also use a pick up line or the line tool to trace by yourself. And also you can give 1 feet offset your roof. Okay, let's use here again to trim the part we don't want. And you can see all those triangles here. It means those sides both have a slope to the top. And if you don't want, you can select all those sides and I'll select define roof slope. And once you do that and click OK, you will get a totally flat roof. Okay, but if you want your roof to have some slope, you can always go back to here and select the side you want to have a roof, and you can only change one by one, and you can define roof slope. Okay, and right now the slope is the units in inch, and we don't want to do that. It's really hard for us to calculate right now. So what you can do is you can go to manage, and you can go to the project units, and we're going to change our slope units to degrees. Just click OK, OK, and now if you click the slide again, you can see your slope change to the degree. And you can change to 30 by maybe those 2 sides. 32. Okay, and we'll apply and go back to our roof. And let's go to our modify tab and just click OK, and you can see your roof here. And you can also click that and change the height of your roof. Like that. So you can play with all those slope by yourself. But you can see there are some gaps between your roof, right, and the wall. So you're going to select this wall and hold Control, select another wall. Now we're going to attach to top, and we're going to select this roof. And then all those will just extend to the roof. Okay, and that's it. Now you can know how to create 1 story or 2 story or 5 story different storage buildings and also end the roof. And before we go to the next step, I will just simplify this roof a little bit because right now it seems a little bit weird. So I will just simplify this side to be just one line. So I will delete those 2 and use ER to extend the side. And now it looks good. Okay. And right now we're in the 3D view, so you can see those gold blocks. So we may not need those, so I will just delete them. Okay. And I will select the whole building and use a group command to make it as a group. And I'm just for a single family house. Okay, so right now you can select the whole building, just 1 click. Alright, so we'll start making the street block intersection model now. So the first step is we still need to import the site plan. You may start from a sketch in your studio project or the real project once you get into the industry. So next thing is we're gonna go to import image underneath the insert tab. Okay, and go to the folder, you save the intersection site plan, and I will share both image with you on the canvas. And just click open, and I will put in this view, and let's not crop this view. Just go to that. Okay, so you can keep your crop version for now because we may still need to use that later when we import the site plan view. So first, still need to rescale your site plan sketch. I keep this scale bar here so you know this line is 60 feet long. And let's use the mirror tool again to see how wide it is now. So it's almost 65 feet. And let's go to use our calculator in. So 60 by 65. Okay, so the scale factor we're going to use is most 0.92. Okay, so if you go select that image and let's use the scale limit. Okay, and still using numerical way to scale this image, and scale factor is 0.92, and just 1/8 of the image, and you already shrink that to the right size. And you can still use the mirror tool to double check the length, so it's almost 60 feet, and I think it's enough for us to start. And before that, we can move our building outside of the site plan, because we can put those buildings like at the last step. Okay, and you're gonna start to trace the intersection. Okay, and before we create different surfaces for this intersection, the first thing I want you guys to do is, we can create some model lines by tracing those set plan sketch first, and then we will use pickup lines tool to pick up the lines we need for creating the surfaces. I think that's the best workflow in Revit. Okay, that can make sure you can always have the backup lines if you want to change some of the area, and also make sure you didn't forget any part of your design. Okay, and also it's more clear for you to see those boundaries and all the lines you may need for those surfaces. So first we will go to the architecture, the model line. Okay, and you can just randomly draw one line first and escape. Okay, and you're gonna choose this line, and we're gonna create a group, and you can just call it site plan lines or base. And you can select that open in group editor. So once you create this lines group, you will get into that group and you can start to trace and lines or delete lines. Okay, and then you can start to trace. You can delete that line you just draw, and let's use model line. Start to trace, and also you can change the line style, because some of the time your trace line may be too light and you barely can see that. So you can go to your manage and go to additional settings and go to line style, and underneath that lines category you can see all those different type of line you can use when you want to sketch something. And I will create a new category, and I will just call it trace lines, because I want to have very thick lines, and it's very easy for me to see when I'm tracing the sketch plan. And I will click OK, and I will change that to red or orange, which I can easily see, or yellow line. And I will click OK, and I will keep it solid, and I will change my line weight to 8, because I want it really thick. Okay, and I will apply, and I will choose OK. And when I go back to my architecture tab, the model line, let's go back to the modify tab. I will choose my line style and trace line. So once I start drawing one line, you can see this is the orange we just set up, and I will click this thin lines tool to make it look thicker. Okay, so if you click that button, you can see your line change glider. Is because it's just the settings for the display. Okay, and if you want this line more visible, you can just unselect that selection, and that one can be thicker. And if you still think this line is not thick enough, you can always go back to the manage tab, just in place. Okay, and you can change the line width larger, for example like 12. Okay, and it can be wider. And I'm gonna start to trace all lines I may need. Okay, so go back to the model line, and I will use this rectangle tool to trace a boundary first, and use the line tool to trace. And you should be really familiar with the offset tool, because that can help you to save some time, and also make sure you keep the same width of those different lines. For example, I will draw these lines by offset from this line. Okay, so I will just roughly measure the width, so it's about 32 feet. So I will just use offset, and I will set up the offset as 32 feet. Okay, now I'll just click that, and I will keep doing the same thing for the rest line. You can type OF for offset. Okay, so you just keep measure and offset. And don't worry, now you have some cross or gap between those edges. We will deal with those later. So this one should be same, and this side, so as I remember, it's 8 feet. Okay, and then we will start from the side. And you can skate those curves for now, because I'm gonna teach you guys how to do the radius by using the fillet tool. And when you draw those lines, you can see you have those numbers, the dimension numbers shows up. So that can help you to draw the perfect numbers. For example, I can draw this line 10 by 6 inch or 6 by 6 inch is on our sketch. And you can also see the degree. Okay. Like that. And I'm gonna go start to trace the parking lot line. So I will start to draw a 8 by 6 inch line. Okay, and I'll select that. I will use copy to copy the model lines, and I will make sure they are almost 23 feet. That's a standard size, even though they're a little bit off with your base map, which is fine because the base map may shift it or distort because of the projection's way. So when you trace those lines, you need to remember the standard dimension and draw based on that. Okay, let's do the same thing on this side. Make sure I have the 3 feet side. Make sure it's perpendicular with the edge. If it's not, you can just click the line and change the degree here. Okay. Change to the right. Yeah. Okay. And so use copy tool. You can just type 23 feet and it will copy to based on that dimension. So the shortcut for 40 is simple. Okay, we'll do same thing in the side. And then I will keep tracing the parking lot here and here. Okay, so this should be 45-degree parking lot. So when you use standard size and standard angle, even it may looks 100% like the sketch, but when we trace a parking lot, we should trace them based on the standard required size. So still go to your architecture tab, model line, and draw a line, continue to the edge, and since we want here to be 45 degree, so that degree should be 135. Okay. And also this length should be 18 feet long. And we're gonna draw another perpendicular one for 8 feet. And another one connect to the edge. Still perpendicular to the side. Okay, and you can select Code Control, select multiple lines you want, and we will copy them. Like that. And then I will use the same way to do the other side. So still go to the model line. Okay, so that line should be 18 feet. And also let's change the degree to 5. Okay. And we're gonna draw a perpendicular line, 8 feet line. Make sure you see that perpendicular angle icon and then click. Okay, right now I have 93. And draw another line to and double check the degree the side. It also 93, and sometimes it may not. So go to annotate, angular, and click those two lines. Okay, now it's 93, which is correct. And we're going to use the same way, so we can just select those two lines, and we can copy, so our reference point will use this point. Then we cannot have two lines overlap, even though I didn't do this with the side, but which is fine. And we can do right now we have some section reference label, and we delete that, so I can just delete allow me to do this because it's just one of view, so I will just hide these elements in the view. And I just found out I may accidentally finish the group editing and draw all those parking lot lines outside of the group. So what I can regroup them together is I will just ungroup the previous lines group, and I'll choose one of the lines because I trace them all using trace lines. So I can select all of them by select all instances and visible in view, and I can just group them again. I will just click sync names. Never already used. Let me just change to the base. Okay, now they're all in the same group now. And let's keep tracing the ramps. So double click your line group, make sure you're in the group editing. Trace all those ramps. Trace perpendicular. And better way to put the number. And let's also go the lane markings and the cross walk lanes. But for the crosswalk lane, we only need to draw one, and we're gonna create the floors for all those marks later by using another function outside of the group edit. So since let's go to the model line, and we can trace and the single line right now. And now since this part is really tiny, we'll just turn on our thin lines. And create line total, and we're going to rotate this again a little bit. So we're going to use the rotate tool. Set that. Okay, finish. And we can back to our normal display, and we'll copy this. What? Set. Okay, this one. And parallel is both sides. Let me do that a little bit. Let's fix it a little bit. Select all the marks. And just copy to the other side. And then we just copy another line. We have to create this separate slide for time for it. I'll add some lines for the future model editors. And we find out there's some offset with the sketch, so you may change the design order based on the basic dimensions. Okay, and you can also extend the slides to the edge. And just finish the grid. And then I'm gonna start to create different floors. So those floors will be the different surfaces because floor is the best way we can use in Revit to create our site. Okay, so just gonna go to floor, and you can pick up the line you already created in that lines group. So for example, I want to create those roadway, which is all those gray space. I'm going to choose that line. Okay, and I will use TR to trim the part outside of that space. Okay, and now just click OK. Then I got that surface. So if I click that floor, I can change the type. So I may go find if we have any road material or asphalt I can use. If not, I will just go to edit type. And I will duplicate one and I will call it roadway. Then I will go structure edit, by category, and I will go find asphalt. It's material and I'll duplicate that. So we already did the kind of things on the assignment one, so you should already familiar with this step. And make sure for each different surfaces you have to have a different material, even though in this material browser. So even though you create two different floor with different floor name, but if you still use the same material inside this browser, which means those two surfaces are still using the same material, so you cannot separate them by the material they use. And I will put it that way. Okay, and color, I would skip that gray. We can change letter if we want. And I'll just apply. Click OK. OK. Apply. OK. And we can change to the shaded so you can see the color we just create. Okay. And when you click that floor, let's say S, which means you can use that floor as a reference to create the other surfaces by using totally same material. Okay. And you can keep choose lines. And we're gonna use a split element to split this line with 2 points. We're going to need one in the middle. And the other tool you can use is the fillet arc, which is really convenient in the Revit. So it can connect those two lines with arc, and you can change the radius you want. Okay, so I will do like that. And you can see the radius is 16 feet 6 inch, which is the perfect one. Let's do the same thing to the side. Okay, and also clean down the R you want. And delete those two lines because we need to enclose this shape. And just click OK and get another surface. So you're going to use the same way to create all the surface here. So I will speed up this part because those tools you're going to use are really the same. Okay, so now we already have all the surfaces we need, but we need to add some details, and also we need to finish the rim. Okay, and let's just go to floor and create the rim. Before that, let's just use the same material with the concrete. Okay, so I'm going to pick up this rim. And there, like the warning shows, highlight floors overlap because for this large floor, we need to use the whole boundary to create that. So we may need to double click and change the boundary a little bit to take the red part out of the whole concrete surface. Okay, and by that, you can see two parts of the concrete. And we're going to do the same thing for those areas. Okay. So after that, we also need to add the patterns for the lane marking and those crosswalk markings. So we can change to the thin line style and for us to pick up the slide easier. Okay, so we're still going to use floor to create the markings. And I already created another type of markings and type of that. I also use the same concrete materials that I duplicated that, just the same way we used before, and I name it markings and change the color to white. Okay. And also we just set the height offset from the base level around 6 inches, so it will be a little bit higher than the roadway, which can help us to see that. This slide, and I'm going to start to trace markings, and I will just offset from this line about 6 inches, and I will enclose the shape. And I'll click OK, and now I'm going to use this one to finish the rest of that. So I'm going to just click that marking and just going to use every, and the number will be 5. So we have to include that one. We have 5 total, and we have 5 markings total. So the number should be 5. Okay, and then we're gonna just click one of the start point and to this point. Now after that, skip the number 5 and just enter. It's okay. It says the highlight bars overlap, and then we have all those stars. And you can still change the number if you want. Like if you change to 6, you will have another one. Okay. Okay, and for this side, I'll still use that one. I'll copy this to the other side. Okay, now we still use Barry here. Okay, and I'll give the number as 5. And okay, and just reserve that. Okay, so we're going to use the same way to finish all those lane markings. Some of the time, it may not same angle, so you may need to rotate a little bit to match with your reference line. Just keep same steps and just lane markings. Okay. And for the crosswalk lane markings, we can change our display options a little bit, so and a little bit of transparency, so you can see through our model and to see the underneath sketch. So I'm going to use the same material markings for this crosswalk marking. So I'm going to use click lanes, click tap to select the whole markings. Okay, I'm going to keep use Starry and the rest of that. So 7 total. Okay. And sometimes we have multiple floors overlap or really close with each other, so you may hard to select the element you want. So what you can do is double click the model, but hold your mouse around the element you want to select and just type tab, okay, till you select the things you want. Okay, now I can select my floor, and I'll create similar floor, just type CS, okay, and I'll just select that line, and still use pairing, so 8. Okay. Okay, and after that, we just need to add another small planes and lane lines. So you CS, create similar floor, and I'm going to offset some line from this shape. Like that. And let's just make it wider to make it more oval. So let's go back to offset and let's do a third. Set that. So go the shape. Okay. We can finish with that. Okay. Okay, and now we already finished all the markings we need. Next step is we need to add some details. We then select the curve, and we need to change the ramp, the point elevations to make it realistic. Okay, so the next step is we're gonna go create some curves along the edge of the road to make the 3D model look more realistic. So the way I'm gonna teach you guys how to do the curve is use wall. So there's multiple way you can create the wall. Like you can still do like a model in place mod and use like a swap command to do that. But I think the fastest way in our assignment or for the urban planning project is to just use the wall to create a similar curve. So you're gonna create wall and go to select one type of generic 4-inch or 6-inch wall, and let's go edit type. Let's duplicate one and call it curve. Okay, and then let's go to structure, effect category. So let's just duplicate this concrete and let's call it concrete. Okay, you can keep use that gray if you want or any other color. And just click K, 5, K, and you can start to pick up the line. And if you think right now this line is not really visible, you can turn off the same lines display. But I think right now for me it's okay, so I will just start to pick up the edge. But I will, so you can see once I pick up that line, my wall already got created. And you can go to the 3D view to double check if you already created the curve. And right now you can see the curve is really high because the top constraint is up to level 2, and we need to change to unconnected. And let's change to the right height of the curve, which should be the 6-inch. And also make sure your base constraint is level 1. So once I apply, it should get lower. So let me select. So tap to select the whole wall, and then back to there, unconnected, 0 fade, 6-inch. And you can see now our wall is much more shorter and change to the curve. And you can just select one of the wall and type CS to keep create the rest of wall curve. You can also use trim command to trim out the wider one. And that way you can quickly create a curve. I'm going to use the same way to finish the other side. Go back to side view to see we lost any part. Also feel it this angle because we don't want people got hurt by those sharp edge. Okay, and once you finish, you can always go back to your 3D view to double check it because it's more easier for you to see that. And also, since we change the edge, you can also back to your planning bed or your concrete to double click and get into the model and change the edge to align with the model, the curve edge. So planning bed, you can do the same thing. Okay, and the second thing is we're gonna go create the ramp with the slope. And before that, let's just select all those concrete curves, and we're gonna leave them 6-inch high. So after that, you can see now all those curved concrete surfaces will be higher than the roadway, which it should be because in real life, our pedestrian will be higher than the roadway. Okay, and then we have to do some minor adjustment for the ramp here. So first, we're gonna click the larger surface and you're gonna go to multi sub elements, and then you can see the point. You can change the elevation of those points to create a real slope. So first, let's make this points down to the base level, which should be the 0 inch. Okay, and do the same thing for this point. Okay. So by that way, we can create the slope. So you will click that slope sub and multi sub elements, and also drop that point to 6-inch high. So by that way, the slope can connect to the other flat surface smooth. Okay, but since we're just doing the urban planning, we don't need to do the very accurate grading design. So this is enough for us. Okay, so let's do the same thing for other 3 limbs. Okay, so after that, we almost finished all the and then we'll add some final elements in the end to make the scene feel more realistic and to help show how the space works. Okay, so there's a really simple way you can load those type of models in the Revit. Is you're gonna go to Insert and you're gonna load Autodesk Family. For example, I may want to put some cars on the side. So I will go to the tricky part is even though when you type car, you may cannot find any car inside of this library. But if you go to the the enrich, you can find a car here. So this is the only compact type of car you can find in the Revit library. If you want, you can still go to the website to download some of the car Revit model and insert and load into Revit, but it may cause some crash issues. So I may prefer just use the models in the Revit, and it can save you a lot of time. Okay, so I will just put that car, and I will click load. Okay, and then you can go to the project browser panel, and you can go down and go to families. Okay, and if you go to your entourage, you can see this car, and you just drag that, okay, on your side. And you can always go back to your site plan to rotate it. Just use the rotate tool and move around. And then you can just select that car and use copy tool to copy multiple to the side. And you can also rotate to match the real direction. And make sure you will not accidentally move the floor underneath. And you even can put some of the cars on the parking lot. Just like that. Also, pass on this side. And some car parking spots. Just randomly put up. So you can show the functions of those space. And we can go back to our 3D view to double check our models. Okay. So you can still add some light pole. I'm gonna use Safeway. So you can just go search. So let's just go back to insert, all desk family, and let's just search street. And you can see you have some street light options. Okay, and I will just choose one of them, and I will load. And I can just search street light to find the one I want to be on. Okay. And you can choose just one of them, even though they have the accurate different type of the light, but we don't have to go that detail. So just choose one and drag them on your plan. Okay. So I'll just randomly put some here, and maybe nearby. And rotate to the right location. I'll just copy multiple. Okay, and now it looks more realistic. And we can also put some of the furniture on the side. So you can see the buildings at line. So we can put our building within that boundary line. And the place outside, we can put some of the outdoor furniture bins to create the outdoor setting area. So we can just put our building first, and then we'll back to the outdoor furniture. So I will just select our building we created before, and I will just use copy and put one inside of this one. Okay, and after that, I will just rotate to parallel with setback line. That, and I know what my courtyard towards the side. So I'll still need to rotate a little bit like that. So if I back to my 3D view, you can see the door is towards the streets. Like that. I can end model use them outside of the model, which is fine. And we'll keep it move. I'll just make this one align with the previous tree. Like that. Yeah, it's more realistic. And in the end, more our other block. So I'm going to take this big door to the street. So this layout, the way we put the building may not really common it takes us, but we're just doing some Revit practices, so which is fine for now. Okay, back to our 3D view. Okay, you see the whole scenario. Okay, and we can then back to our meshing and site. We start to use the site component to put some of the trees. So if you just go type trees here, there are like multiple different types of tree you can choose, even though they may look almost same on the model wise, but if you click them, they will have different name and information on the properties we have. So you can still go to your that family and search trees to find all the tree types. So and then just choose the one you want to load into Revit. And then I already load before, so it asks me if I want to over right. So I just click OK, and you can just type tree, and you will find all those different trees you can choose here. Okay, and I will just choose one of the cedar trees to put on my map. Now we'll just go to site view. I'll extract one on my site. Okay, and then I will use the array tool to copy multiple because those are street trees and we need to keep the same distance between each other to make it really look like the street tree. Okay, so I'll just click one of them and I will use array and I will click the first tree and then I will keep them maybe around 25 feet from each. And at the end, more total this way. I will do the same thing to the other side. And since we only have two here, so I will just copy them. So there. Arrow. So copy some to this side. Okay. And then so copy to this side. We change the number if we can get too many. Okay. And this. Okay. And then we come back to our 3D view to check model. Okay, check that. And if you think those three are too high and it's not your design purpose, you can always just select one of them and select all instances and visible view, and you can just outgroup them and change the tree type. For example, think that's too tall, you can change to shorter type of trees based on your design purpose. Like that. Okay. But right now, I think that's what I want, so I'll just keep them like this. Okay. And then, like I said, you can still add some of the furnitures on the streets. we can put on this side. So we go back to our side, and we can add some of the setting area around this place. And we can always go back to insert the Autodesk family and just type bench, and we'll find some bench. And I may just load multiple different type here, and I will go to bench. Okay, you load the one I want. Let me just load that outdoor bench here. So why, but we may accidentally move that floor before, so I may need to move that back to the side. And I will just go to the bench here. I can type space on the keyboard to rotate. And I'm going to use rotate option to make that align with arrow with the straight axis like that. So take model this side. Okay, click that bench, and then we can rotate. Okay, and then go back to our 3D view. You can see on the bench here. So let's rotate a little bit, facing the right, just like that. And then we can delete the one outside of our main model. And I'm going to delete some of the tree because I think they're a little bit too crowded. And then change the strings to a different type. So you can see the different ways of the main street tree and the minor street trees. I can do some bigger one. Like that. And also you can go to look up that family and go to the entourage, and you can select female and male and the character in this model, and then you can just type female or male to search one of people, and you can just put on the crosswalk, right, to make the function is more obvious. Maybe some on the pedestrian, some on the ramp, just like that. Okay? To make the whole scenario look more realistic. And also, since right now all those tree looks black, which is a little bit weird, and also hide some of the pedestrian, the streets, the block elements. So what I'm gonna do is I will just select one tree, and I will select all instances and visible in view. And also the small tree, just hold Control to select multiple. Also, that way to select all of them, and I will override graphics in view, okay, by element. And I will make them halftone, and I will just choose a solid color, maybe a lighter yellow green, something like that. Okay, I'll apply. And I also can change some of the transparency. And you can see through those trees to see the elements behind those trees. Okay, now let's click OK, and by that way, you can see all the edge of the trees. Okay, and if you want your road directions, the lanes more clear, you can also go to the families to add some like your arrow. If you just search arrow, you can see those direction arrows here, and you can load all of them together. Example. And I can just tap arrow. Now we'll go to direction arrow. For example, I'll just add one street. And I will just do one right here. Like that. And go up here. Let me go back to my side view, like that. And I may need to use tab to select that arrow, and I will rotate to perpendicular stop line, like that. Something like that you can do to make the whole side look more realistic, right? Like that. Okay. And then you will just choose a view you think show your side best, show all your design elements, and put that into sheet. So go back to our sheets tab, and then we can go to one of the 3D view sheets. Let me just go to one of the say 101 site plan, and I will rename it to the site plan 3D view. Okay. And then I will drag my 3D view into this sheet, just like that. And if I think this is too large, I can change my scale to smaller, just like that. Okay. Now I can also go back to my 3D view to crop the place I want to show. For example, I don't want them to see, I want people to see the edge of my site, and I may rotate a little bit to hide the edge. Something like that. And then go back to there and move around, and I'm gonna make this whole field view larger because I already shrink down a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna do that view on that sheet. And that will be your last Revit assignment. What you need to do is just put your 3D view, a 3D view sheet, and you're gonna go the same step you did before, but with for export PDF, just click that title and just click no title because we're doing the title for that 3D view, and you can just go File, export PDF, just follow the same step we did in the first assignment. And you're going to submit the PDF for assignment 2.